My name is Nora Ellis. I'm 30 years old, and I work as a hospice nurse. 3 days after my grandfather's funeral, my older brother sold Grandpa's old pickup truck for $12,500. By itself, that wasn't unusual. Grandpa had written in his will that most of his belongings could be sold and the money divided. The truck was one of the few things anyone thought would actually bring in decent money. It was a faded blue 1978 pickup with chipped paint, cracked leather seats, and an engine Grandpa somehow kept alive with equal parts patience and stubbornness. No one in the family argued when my brother said he had already found a buyer. But the following Tuesday evening, just after I came home from work, someone knocked on my front door. A man I had never seen before stood on my porch. He wasn't angry. He wasn't smiling either. He looked tired, as though he had driven a long way just to ask one question. "I bought your grandfather's truck," he said. "I think it still belongs to your family." I remember tightening my grip on my house keys. At the time, I thought he meant there had been a paperwork mistake. I couldn't have been more wrong. What he carried inside that truck would force me to question nearly everything I believed about my family. But before I tell you how that knock changed my life, welcome to the channel. If you enjoy thoughtful family stories with unexpected truths and endings that stay with you long after they're over, you're in the right place. Now, let me take you back to where all of this really began. My grandfather, Walter Ellis, died on a quiet Sunday morning in late October. He was 84. The hospice team caring for him knew him well, though I wasn't part of his case. Hospital policy didn't allow family members to oversee relatives, which was probably for the best. Even so, I visited him almost every evening after work. The last thing he asked me was whether it had rained. It hadn't. He nodded anyway and looked toward the window. He always liked pretending he could smell rain before anyone else. I've replayed that conversation more times than I can count. The funeral was small. Just family, a few neighbors, and 2 men from the local veterans group. Grandpa had requested simple sandwiches instead of a catered meal. He said people talked more honestly over ordinary food. He was right. The conversations started quietly. People shared old fishing stories. Someone laughed about Grandpa refusing to replace the coffee maker for 20 years because it still brewed coffee. For a while, everything felt familiar, comforting, even. Then my brother, Ethan, checked his watch halfway through lunch. "We should probably list the truck this week," he said. The sentence landed harder than I expected. Not because it was cruel, because it was fast. The coffee in front of me had already gone cold. No one seemed to notice. Mom simply nodded. A collector would probably pay well. Our aunt agreed. Within 10 minutes, they had moved from remembering Grandpa to discussing prices. I didn't say much. Years of working around grieving families had taught me something important. People often reached for practical tasks when emotions became too heavy. I filed Ethan's comment away without thinking much about it. At least, that's what I told myself. The truck had always been more than transportation. Grandpa washed it every Saturday morning, even during winters when it barely left the garage. Inside the glove compartment, he kept folded road maps, peppermints, and a small notebook where he recorded every repair he'd ever made. He trusted paper more than phones. Sometimes I wondered if that notebook mattered more to him than the truck itself. The day after the funeral, Ethan called. "Good news," he said. "I've got someone offering $12,500. That was quick. He didn't even negotiate. Something about that sentence stayed with me. Not because the price seemed high, because Ethan sounded relieved instead of happy. I should have noticed the difference. By Thursday, the truck was gone. The driveway outside Grandpa's empty house looked strangely larger, like something important had been erased instead of moved. Life returned to routine. I worked long shifts, sorted medications, held hands with patients whose families couldn't arrive in time. When people are near the end of their lives, they often worry less about money than unfinished conversations. That thought stayed with me all week. Then came Tuesday evening. The knock. The stranger. And the words that made every quiet moment since Grandpa's funeral feel suddenly connected. "I don't think your brother knew what was hidden in that truck," the man said. Before I could answer, he reached into his coat pocket and placed an old brass key in the palm of my hand. The brass key rested in my hand longer than either of us spoke. It was smaller than a house key but larger than one for a filing cabinet. Years of use had polished the edges smooth. A thin piece of faded blue thread was tied through the hole at the top. "I found it taped underneath the driver's seat," the man said. "There was a note with it." He reached into his jacket and unfolded a piece of yellowed paper. The handwriting belonged to my grandfather. I recognized it before I read a single word. His letters always leaned slightly to the right, neat but never perfect. The note was short. "If you're not family, please return this key to Nora Ellis. She'll know what to do." I looked back at the stranger. "I've never met you. I know. You could have ignored this." "I thought about it," he admitted. "Then I figured your grandfather left it there for a reason." He introduced himself as Daniel Mercer. He was 46 and owned a small auto restoration shop about 2 hours away. Restoring classic trucks was both his business and his hobby. Ethan had listed Grandpa's pickup online on Sunday evening, and Daniel had driven over first thing Monday morning with a cashier's check. He said the family wanted a quick sale, Daniel explained. That sounded like Ethan. He preferred finishing things quickly, even if it meant asking fewer questions. Daniel handed me the folded note. I almost missed it. I was cleaning the cab when I noticed fresh tape under the seat. "Was there anything else?" He hesitated. "There was an empty space." "What do you mean?" It looked like something else had been taped there before. Whatever it wasn't there anymore. I felt a small chill despite the warm evening. Maybe it just fell off. Maybe. His answer wasn't convincing. Neither of us said anything for a few seconds. The neighborhood was unusually quiet. Someone across the street was watering flowers. A dog barked somewhere behind the houses. Ordinary sounds. They made the conversation feel even stranger. "I thought you should have this," Daniel said. "I appreciate that. If you figure out what it opens, I'd love to know." He smiled politely, climbed back into the truck that had belonged to my grandfather for nearly 30 years, and drove away. I stood on my porch until the taillights disappeared around the corner. Only then did I look at the note again. She'll know what to do. The problem was, I didn't. Inside my apartment, I placed the key beside my coffee mug and stared at it while reheating leftover soup. Hospice nursing teaches you to notice details people overlook. Wedding rings still worn after 60 years. Photographs facing hospital beds. Tiny changes in routine. People reveal themselves through habits more than words. Grandpa had been the same. If he had hidden a key for me, he believed I would eventually understand why. The question wasn't whether the key mattered. It was why he hadn't simply handed it to me himself. I barely slept that night. The next morning, before my shift started, I stopped by my mother's house. She was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with unpaid bills spread around her coffee cup. My mother, Linda Ellis, was 58. She worked as an elementary school secretary. She had a gentle voice that somehow made every difficult conversation quieter instead of easier. She looked tired. Grief had settled into the lines around her eyes. "You look exhausted," she said. "So do you." She smiled without disagreeing. I placed the brass key on the table. "Have you ever seen this before?" She adjusted her reading glasses. "No." It was hidden inside Grandpa's truck. That caught her attention. "Inside the truck?" I nodded. She turned the key over carefully. "The blue string looks familiar." "From where?" "I can't remember." She frowned. "It'll come to me." Mom had always remembered birthdays, recipes, and where everyone left their car keys. But sometimes memories from years ago stayed just out of reach. What about Grandpa keeping secrets? I asked. She laughed softly. Your grandfather wasn't secretive. He was private. There's a difference. A big one. She folded another bill. If something mattered, he waited until the right person was ready. I thought about that during my drive to work. Ready for what? At the hospice center, my day filled with medication schedules, patient charts, and quiet conversations with families learning how to say goodbye. One patient reminded me of Grandpa, not because they looked alike, because he kept asking whether the maple tree outside his window had started changing colors. Some people measure time with calendars. Others measure it with seasons. Grandpa had always been the second kind. During my lunch break, I called my aunt. Carol Ellis was 62, a retired librarian and Grandpa's oldest child. She collected family photographs the way other people collected antiques. If anyone knew about an old key, it would be her. She answered on the second ring. When I described it, she was silent for several seconds. Carol, I was just thinking. Have you seen one like it? No. Another pause. But your grandfather did own an old roll-top desk. I remember. It disappeared years ago. Disappeared. I always assumed Ethan took it when he helped Grandpa clean out the garage after his hip surgery. That surprised me. I never saw it. Neither did I. She lowered her voice. Your brother said the desk had termites. Did it? I never checked. I wrote that down on the back of a patient schedule before throwing the paper away. Not because I suspected Ethan. Because details have a way of connecting later. That's something both nursing and families have taught me. That evening, I drove past Grandpa's empty house. The curtains were still open. The mailbox leaned slightly to one side. And through the garage window, I noticed something I could have sworn hadn't been there after the funeral. A narrow wooden shelf. Empty. Except for a perfectly clean rectangle in the dust. As if something had been removed only recently. I parked across the street instead of pulling into the driveway. The house looked exactly as it had the week before, yet something felt different. It wasn't dramatic. Nothing was broken. No windows were open. The porch light was still off. It was the kind of feeling I had learned not to ignore. In hospice care, families often tell you that they just know something has changed. Most of the time, they're right. The change is usually small at first. A quieter voice. A shorter breath. A look that lasts a second longer than usual. This felt like that. I walked around to the side of the garage. The side door was locked. Through the dusty window, I could still see the wooden shelf. The clean rectangle caught the last light of the evening. Everything around it was covered in years of gray dust. Something had sat there for a very long time. Something about the size of a shoebox. I didn't know it then, but that empty space would become almost as important as the brass key in my purse. The next afternoon, my Aunt Carol invited me over. She lived in the same brick ranch house where my cousins had grown up. Even after retirement, she organized everything with the precision of a librarian. Family photographs filled one wall of her living room. Every album had a handwritten label. If we're going to remember your grandfather, she said, setting 2 mugs of tea on the table, we might as well do it properly. She opened an album from nearly 20 years earlier. There was Grandpa beside the truck. Grandpa fishing. Grandpa planting tomatoes. Grandpa standing in his garage with shelves behind him. I leaned closer. There. Carol looked where I was pointing. On the shelf behind Grandpa sat a dark wooden box. About the size of the clean rectangle I had seen through the garage window. Do you remember that? I asked. She adjusted her glasses. I do. What was in it? I never knew. You never asked. I did. She smiled faintly. Your grandfather said some things made more sense if they stayed where they belonged. That sounded exactly like him. I turned another page. Another photo. The same shelf. The same wooden box. Different year. Still there. Another photograph from Christmas. Still there. It hadn't been temporary. That box had stayed on that shelf for years. Until recently. I don't remember seeing it after Grandpa moved into assisted living, Carol said quietly. Who cleaned out the garage? Ethan mostly. What about Mom? She helped for one afternoon. And you? I wasn't feeling well that week. I nodded. No accusations. Just a timeline. Hospice work had taught me not to jump ahead of the facts. Facts eventually catch up. Assumptions rarely do. Carol disappeared into another room and returned carrying a small metal tin filled with old receipts, warranties, and instruction manuals. Your grandfather saved everything. I laughed. I know. Together we sorted through faded papers. Receipts for lawn mower repairs. Insurance cards. Old registration forms. Then Carol stopped. This is interesting. She handed me a folded invoice dated 14 years earlier. It wasn't for the truck. It was from a local locksmith. The description simply read, "One custom brass replacement key." No explanation. No lock listed. Just the amount paid. I unfolded the receipt completely. Grandpa had paid in cash. Carol looked thoughtful. I don't remember him ever replacing a house key. Neither do I. Maybe it wasn't for the house. I slipped the receipt into my notebook beside the locksmith's business name. Another detail. Another piece that didn't fit. That evening, I drove home with the albums still fresh in my mind. Instead of going inside, I called my mother. Do you remember Grandpa ever having a wooden box in the garage? She answered almost immediately. The dark walnut one? You remember it? Of course. What was inside? I honestly don't know. You never looked? No. She hesitated. But I remember one conversation. I waited. I was probably 15. Okay. I asked Dad why Grandpa kept that box locked. My pulse quickened. What did Grandpa say? He smiled and told me. She stopped. What? He said every family has one story that isn't ready to be told. The sentence settled between us. Not mysterious. Just unusual. Did he ever explain? Never. She sighed softly. I'd forgotten about that until today. After we hung up, I took the brass key out again. I compared it to photographs of old cabinet keys online. Desk, chest, display cabinet. None looked exactly right. The blue thread caught my attention again. Not because of the color. Because someone had tied it carefully. Grandpa never wasted effort on things that didn't matter. If he'd tied that thread himself, it served a purpose. I turned the key over once more. Tiny scratches covered one side. Fresh scratches. Not decades old. Someone had used this key recently. I stared at it for a long time. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ethan. Hey. Random question. Has anyone contacted you about Grandpa's truck? I read it twice. Not. How are you? Not. Did you need anything? Just one question. About the truck. I typed 3 different replies before deleting each one. Finally, I answered with the truth. Yes. Why? 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Nearly a full minute passed before his response arrived. Never mind. It probably isn't important. I looked at the message for a long time. People say, never mind, when they don't want to explain. Or when they're afraid the explanation will raise another question. I set the phone down without replying. An hour later, I received another notification. Not from Ethan. From Daniel. The man who had bought Grandpa's truck. His message was only one sentence. I found something else hidden behind the driver's seat. And I don't think your brother knew about this either. I called Daniel before I had time to imagine what he had found. He answered on the first ring. "I was hoping you'd call," he said. His voice was calm, but there was a carefulness to it, the kind people use when they don't want to jump to conclusions. "What did you find?" "I was replacing part of the seat frame this afternoon. There was a loose panel behind the driver's seat." I stood in my kitchen without realizing I was still holding my coat. And there was an envelope. My heart beat a little faster. Was it addressed to someone? "No." "What's inside?" "I haven't opened it." That surprised me. "You didn't." It didn't feel like mine. For a moment neither of us spoke. "I think your grandfather expected someone to find it eventually," Daniel continued. "But after reading the note he left for you, I figured I shouldn't be the one." "When can I see it?" "I'm driving into town tomorrow morning for a parts delivery." "I'll meet you." We agreed to meet at a small diner halfway between my apartment and the restoration shop. After hanging up, I stared out my kitchen window. Rain had finally started. Tiny drops gathered on the glass, soft enough that they barely made a sound. Grandpa would have smiled. He always knew when the rain was coming. The next morning, I arrived early. The diner was nearly empty except for 2 retirees sharing a newspaper and a young waitress filling sugar dispensers. Daniel walked in carrying a plain brown envelope. He set it carefully on the table between us. I haven't touched the seal. It was old. Not fragile, but old enough that the paper had softened around the edges. There was no name on the front. Only one sentence in Grandpa's handwriting. "Open only if the truck leaves the family." I looked at Daniel. "I'm glad you didn't open it." "So am I." Very carefully, I broke the seal. Inside were 3 things. A folded letter, an old photograph, and a small metal safety deposit box key attached to a paper tag with the number 317. I unfolded the photograph first. It showed Grandpa standing beside the truck sometime in the early 1980s. Next to him stood a younger man I didn't recognize. They were smiling. On the back, Grandpa had written only 2 words. "Keep watching." Not a name. Not a date. Just those words. Daniel leaned forward. "Do you know him?" I shook my head. "No." Then I opened the letter. The paper trembled slightly in my hands, not because I was afraid, but because it suddenly felt very personal. Grandpa had written, "If you're reading this, the truck has left the family." That isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes people only notice what matters after it's gone. The key marked 317 belongs to something I promised to keep safe until the right time. If Nora is reading this, trust her judgment. She notices what others overlook. I stopped reading. Daniel quietly looked away, giving me privacy. I swallowed before continuing. Do not accuse anyone without proof. Do not believe every explanation simply because it is convenient. The truth already exists. It only needs to be found. There was no mention of money. No mention of property. Nothing about Ethan. Just those instructions. It sounded exactly like Grandpa. Evidence first. Opinions later. I folded the letter carefully. Daniel looked relieved. "So, what now?" I honestly don't know. But even as I said it, I realized I did know. I needed to find safety deposit box 317. The question was where. On my way to work, I called my mother again. Did Grandpa ever have a safety deposit box? I don't think so. Think. I am. A pause. Wait. What? He used the old community bank before it merged with First County. Did he ever mention a box there? I remember signing something after your grandmother died. What kind of something? I honestly can't remember. Another small piece. Not an answer. Just another direction. That afternoon at the hospice center, I couldn't stop thinking about the letter. One of my patients, Mrs. Holloway, noticed I seemed distracted. "You've got family on your mind," she said. "I do." She smiled gently. "The hardest part about families isn't learning the truth. It's deciding what you'll do once you know it." I wrote those words down after my shift. Not because they solved anything. Because they felt important. That evening, my mother called. "I found something." Her voice was quieter than usual. "In the filing cabinet." "What is it?" "An old envelope from First County Bank." I grabbed my keys. "I'm coming over." When I arrived, she already had the envelope waiting on the kitchen table. Inside was a single receipt dated 11 years earlier. Safety deposit box rental. Box 317. My pulse quickened. At the bottom was Grandpa's signature. And underneath it, another signature. Not Grandma's. Not Mom's. Not mine. It belonged to someone else who had authorized access to the same box. I looked up at my mother. "Do you recognize this signature?" She adjusted her glasses. Her face slowly lost its color. "I do." "Who is it?" She looked directly at me. "It's Ethan's." Before either of us could say another word, someone knocked on the front door. Mom frowned. "We aren't expecting anyone." She opened it. Standing on the porch was Ethan. He looked at both of us, then at the bank receipt still lying on the kitchen table. His expression changed instantly. Very quietly, he said, "You weren't supposed to find that." No one spoke for several seconds. Ethan remained on the porch, one hand resting against the doorframe. He looked tired more than frightened. His shirt was wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes that I hadn't noticed at the funeral. Mom instinctively placed her hand over the bank receipt on the table. "Come in," she said quietly. He stepped inside without looking at either of us. The kitchen suddenly felt smaller. The clock above the refrigerator ticked loudly enough that I became aware of every second passing. Ethan finally looked at me. "Daniel found the envelope, didn't he?" "Yes." He nodded once. "I figured he might." "You knew there was an envelope hidden in the truck?" "I knew Grandpa kept things in strange places." "That's not what I asked." He looked down at the floor. "No." It wasn't a convincing answer. Years of watching families struggle through difficult conversations had taught me that people often tell the truth in pieces. The first answer is rarely the complete one. Mom poured 3 cups of coffee even though none of us seemed interested in drinking it. She always made coffee when conversations became difficult. It gave her hands something to do. Ethan wrapped both hands around his mug. I never opened the safety deposit box. Neither Mom nor I had mentioned the box yet. The statement came too quickly. "You recognize the number," I said. He looked up. "I signed papers years ago." "Why?" "Grandpa asked me to." "What papers?" "I don't remember." I watched his face carefully. Memory wasn't the problem. He was choosing which parts to tell. "Did you ever go to the bank with Grandpa?" "Once." "When?" "I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago." "What happened?" "He needed a second signature." "Why yours?" "I never asked." That part sounded genuine. Grandpa rarely explained more than he believed necessary. Still, something didn't fit. "If you never used the box," I asked, "why did you say we weren't supposed to find that receipt?" He rubbed the side of his forehead. "Because Grandpa told me not to think about it anymore." The sentence lingered in the room. Mom looked just as confused as I felt. "He actually said that?" she asked. Ethan nodded. His exact words were, "One day Nora will understand. Until then, leave it alone." I felt an unexpected weight settle in my chest. He had said my name. Not Ethan's. Mine. I didn't know whether that was comforting or unsettling. Maybe both. Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his wallet. From behind his driver's license, he removed a folded piece of paper. I probably should have shown you this after the funeral. He handed it to me. It wasn't a letter. It was a receipt. From the same bank. Dated almost 11 years earlier. Across the bottom, in Grandpa's handwriting, were 6 words. Don't forget February 14th. Every year. No explanation. Just a reminder. What's February 14th? Mom asked. Valentine's Day. Ethan answered automatically. I know what day it is. I don't know what Grandpa meant. Neither did I. But I wrote it in my notebook anyway. Details mattered. Even the ones that seemed ordinary. Especially those. The next morning, before my shift began, I stopped at First County Bank. The building had been renovated since Grandpa first opened his account there. The lobby was brighter now. The old wooden counters had been replaced with glass desks and self-service kiosks. A woman in her 60s greeted me. My name is Nora Ellis. She smiled politely. How can I help you? I explained that my grandfather had passed away and showed her the receipt for box 317. She listened carefully. Then her expression became more professional. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. If you're the executor of the estate, we'll need identification and probate documents. I have copies. She reviewed everything for several minutes. Finally, she disappeared into a back office. When she returned, another employee was with her. An older man wearing a navy tie. He introduced himself as Richard Hale, the branch manager. I'm afraid there's something unusual about this account. I felt my stomach tighten. Unusual how? The box hasn't been accessed in almost 9 years. Not even by Ethan? He checked the screen again. No. What about Grandpa? The last recorded visit. He paused. Was made by Walter Ellis and a witness. A witness. That's what the record says. Who was the witness? I'm sorry. He shook his head. I can't disclose that until the contents are officially released. It wasn't the answer I wanted, but it confirmed something important. Grandpa hadn't been alone. Richard unlocked a secure hallway leading to the vault. The air inside felt cooler, quieter. He stopped in front of a row of metal boxes. Box 317. He inserted the bank's master key. I slid Grandpa's brass-colored deposit key into the second lock. It turned smoothly. No hesitation. The drawer opened with a soft scrape. Inside was no money, no jewelry, no stack of cash. Instead there was a thick accordion folder, a sealed envelope, and an old cassette tape carefully labeled in black ink. February 14th, 2017. I stared at the date. It matched Grandpa's reminder. Every year. Richard carried the drawer into a private viewing room and quietly left us alone. I sat down. For a moment, I simply looked at the contents. The folder was heavy. Much heavier than ordinary paperwork. Through the slightly worn edges, I could see property records, bank statements, handwritten notes, and what appeared to be copies of legal documents. Everything had been organized with Grandpa's usual precision. On top rested a single handwritten note. It wasn't addressed to me. It simply read, "Start with the property records. They explain why someone in this family has been lying for nearly 15 years. I closed the viewing room door before opening the accordion folder. The silence inside the room felt different from the silence at the hospice center. At work, silence often meant acceptance. Here, it felt like something waiting to be understood. Grandpa had arranged the documents with colored tabs. Blue, green, yellow, red. He had always believed that if information was organized well enough, the truth would eventually organize itself. I started with the blue tab. Property records. The first page was the deed to Grandpa's farmhouse, the same place where my mother and Ethan had grown up before he sold it and moved into town after Grandma passed away. Nothing unusual. The second page showed the sale documents from 15 years earlier. Still nothing surprising. The third page made me stop. There was a handwritten note attached with a paperclip. Compare the signatures carefully. I placed the sale documents side by side. Years of writing patient notes had trained my eyes to notice patterns. Different doctors signed charts in different ways. Some looped their letters. Others barely lifted the pen. Grandpa's signature on the deed looked slower, almost hesitant. His signature on the following year's tax forms looked firm again. I wasn't a handwriting expert, but the difference was enough to make me uncomfortable. I photographed both pages with my phone. I wasn't drawing conclusions. I was preserving evidence. That was something Grandpa would have approved of. The green tab contained bank records. Most were ordinary. Monthly statements, deposits, utility payments. Then I noticed a series of cashier's checks written over 4 consecutive years. Each one had been made out to the same person, Michael Avery. I didn't recognize the name. The amounts weren't enormous. $3,000, $2,500, $4,000. Enough to matter. Not enough to attract attention. The memo lines were blank. I wrote the name in my notebook. People leave footprints in paperwork. Sometimes they don't realize it. The yellow tab contained correspondence. Letters between Grandpa and his attorney. Insurance forms. Medical paperwork. Near the bottom was a single unopened envelope. Across the front Grandpa had written, "Only after reading everything else." I set it aside. He had ordered these papers for a reason. The red tab was different. Photographs. Dozens of them. Most showed the farmhouse over several decades. The garage. The truck. Family gatherings. Birthdays. Christmas dinners. At first I didn't understand why they were included. Then I noticed Grandpa had circled small details in red pencil. A window left open. A cabinet door. A metal lockbox sitting on a workbench. The same dark wooden box I had seen in Aunt Carol's photographs. It appeared again and again. Always somewhere in the background. Always locked. Almost as if Grandpa wanted someone to notice it later. I should have noticed. Instead, I had spent years looking at the people in the pictures. Grandpa had been looking at everything else. There was a gentle knock on the viewing room door. Richard Hale stepped inside. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all." He hesitated. "I recognized your grandfather's name. You knew him. He rented box 317 for almost 20 years. Richard smiled faintly. "He always came on the same day, February 14th. His eyebrows lifted. "So he told someone." "No. I found a note." Richard nodded. "He never missed a year." "What did he do here?" "I'm afraid I don't know." "You never asked?" He laughed softly. Bank managers learn not to ask customers unnecessary questions. That made sense. Still, before leaving, he added something that caught my attention. There was one thing I always found unusual. "What?" "He never came alone." My pulse quickened. "The witness." Richard nodded. "Usually the same woman." "A woman?" "Yes." "Who was she?" "I'm sorry." His expression became apologetic. "I truly can't tell you." After he left, I stared at the photographs again. A woman. Not Grandma. Not Mom. Someone who had accompanied Grandpa every February for years. I felt a dozen possibilities forming in my mind. Then I pushed them away. Evidence first. Opinions later. I picked up the unopened envelope. This time I broke the seal. Inside was only one sheet of paper. Grandpa's handwriting filled half the page. "Nora, if you've reached this point, you've already seen enough to ask the wrong question. The question isn't who received the money. The question is why they needed it." I read the sentence twice. Then 3 times. At the bottom of the page was another instruction. "Find Michael Avery before you confront anyone." No explanation. Just a name. The same one from the cashier's checks. I left the bank carrying copies of every document I was legally allowed to take. Back in my car, I searched the name on my phone. Several people appeared. A contractor in Ohio. A dentist in Arizona. A retired teacher in Oregon. None seemed connected. Then I narrowed the search to our county. Only one result remained. Michael Avery. Age 68. Retired surveyor. Less than 15 miles from Grandpa's old farmhouse. I wrote down the address. Before starting the engine, my phone rang. It was Aunt Carol. Nora. Hi. I've been going through more photo albums. Did you find something? I think so. Her voice was unsteady. There's a picture from your mother's wedding. Okay. I've looked at it hundreds of times. And I only noticed today because you kept asking about background details. I waited. Michael Avery is standing behind your grandfather. I froze. You know it's him? The back of the photograph is labeled. Silence settled between us. Carol finally whispered. Nora, if Michael was at the wedding, then he wasn't a stranger. When the call ended, I looked once more at the address written in my notebook. 15 miles away. Retired. Connected to Grandpa for decades. Receiving money every year. And somehow present at one of the most important days in our family's history. I started the car. I had a feeling the answers were finally within reach. I just didn't expect Michael Avery's first sentence to change the entire direction of the story. Michael Avery lived at the end of a quiet county road lined with old maple trees. The house was modest. White siding. A small front porch. Wind chimes that moved gently in the afternoon breeze. Nothing about it suggested secrets. I parked at the curb and sat for a moment with Grandpa's folder on the passenger seat. I had visited hundreds of strangers' homes during my years as a hospice nurse. People often reveal more in the first 30 seconds than they realize. The family photographs they display. The shoes by the front door. The condition of the mailbox. Ordinary details tell ordinary truths. I hoped this would be one of them. Michael answered after the second knock. He looked close to 70, with silver hair and careful blue eyes. He held a gardening glove in one hand. Mr. Avery? Yes. My name is Nora Ellis. The color drained from his face. He didn't ask why I was there. Instead, he looked past me toward the driveway, as if expecting someone else to arrive. Walter's granddaughter. It wasn't a question. You knew my grandfather. I did. He stepped aside. You should come in. His living room was simple. A worn sofa. 2 bookshelves. A clock that ticked softly above the fireplace. On a side table sat a framed photograph. Grandpa. Michael. And another man I had never seen before. All 3 were smiling. Michael noticed me looking. He insisted we take that picture. When? About 12 years ago. He made tea before either of us sat down. Not coffee. Tea. The same habit Grandpa had adopted after his doctor told him to cut back on caffeine. Small things connect people. Sometimes before names do. I found records. I began. I imagined you would. There were cashier's checks made out to you. I know. You were at my mother's wedding. Yes. You visited the bank with Grandpa every February. He nodded quietly. I did. None of it seemed to surprise him. That unsettled me more than denial would have. I opened the folder. My grandfather left instructions. Michael smiled sadly. That sounds like Walter. He told me to find you before confronting anyone. Michael leaned back. Then he expected this day. I took a slow breath. I need you to tell me why he paid you. Instead of answering, Michael walked to a bookshelf and removed a thick photo album. He placed it carefully on the coffee table. I've been waiting years for someone to ask the right question. He opened the first page. The photographs weren't of my family. They showed old property lines, survey markers, creeks, fence posts, the farmhouse. Michael noticed my confusion. I was the county surveyor. I know. Your grandfather hired me. For the farm. Yes. He turned another page. Old maps filled the album. Measurements. Boundary lines. Official county stamps. One map had a section outlined in red. The property wasn't the size everyone believed it was, Michael said. I looked closer. The difference wasn't huge. Just over 3 acres. But the red outline extended beyond the recorded boundary. This can't be right. It wasn't. What do you mean? The county made a surveying mistake almost 40 years ago. I stared at him. The official records were wrong? Yes. The farmhouse sat on less land than the deed claimed. I frowned. Wouldn't that have been corrected? It should have been. But it wasn't. Michael nodded. Your grandfather discovered the mistake during a routine survey. So why not report it? He wanted to. Michael folded his hands. But correcting it would have caused another family to lose part of their property. I looked back at the maps. They didn't know. No. And Grandpa couldn't bring himself to force them off land they'd lived on for decades. I slowly understood. He paid you. Not to hide the mistake. Michael shook his head immediately. Never that. Then why? He paid me to update private surveys every few years. Why? So if anyone ever questioned the boundaries, we'd have accurate records ready. I looked again at the cashier's checks. Suddenly they made sense. They weren't bribes. They were professional fees. Another wrong assumption quietly disappeared. I thought the money meant something dishonest. Michael smiled gently. Walter hated dishonesty. So why keep all this secret? His expression changed. Because this wasn't the secret he wanted you to find. Silence filled the room. I felt my heartbeat quicken again. There was another reason you came every February. Yes. The witness at the bank. Yes. The safety deposit box. Yes. I waited. Michael looked toward the window before speaking. The surveys were simply something Walter wanted preserved. They weren't the reason for the box. No. Then what was? He stood and walked to a small cabinet near the hallway. From inside, he removed a worn leather notebook. The cover was cracked with age. Across the front, embossed in faded gold letters, were 2 initials. W.E. Walter Ellis. I've kept this for 11 years. He handed it to me. Grandpa left it with you? He asked me to. Why? Because he was afraid someone in your family would destroy it. My throat tightened. Who? I don't know. He never said. Michael slowly shook his head. He only told me one thing. What? If this notebook ever leaves your hands before Nora reads it, everything I protected will disappear. I carefully opened the notebook. The first pages contained ordinary entries. Weather, crop yields, truck repairs, fishing trips. Then the handwriting changed. The entries became shorter, more serious. Every page was dated February 14th, year after year, exactly matching the bank visits. I turned to the final completed entry. It contained only one sentence. Today I finally have proof. Before I could read another word, a folded document slipped from between the pages and landed on the floor. I picked it up. It wasn't another diary page. It was a certified copy of a birth certificate. The father's name was blank, but the mother's name stopped me cold. It wasn't someone I recognized. The child's name, however, was my brother Ethan. I read the birth certificate 3 times before I trusted my own eyes. Ethan's full name was there. His birthday matched. The hospital matched. Everything matched except one detail. Our mother's name wasn't listed. Instead, the certificate named a woman called Rebecca Lawson, 22 years old. The space for the father was blank. For several seconds, I forgot where I was. Michael didn't interrupt. He simply waited. Finally, I looked up. This has to be a mistake. I wish it were. My mother gave birth to Ethan. Michael folded his hands. She raised him. That's not the same thing. The sentence settled between us. I looked back at the document. It carried the county seal, a registrar's signature. There was nothing that suggested it was fake. Still, one document wasn't enough. Grandpa had written those words for a reason. Do not accuse anyone without proof. One birth certificate wasn't proof of betrayal. It was proof that I didn't know the whole story. When did Grandpa give this to you? I asked. 11 years ago. Why you? He trusted me. With something this important? Michael nodded. I told him I didn't want to be involved. And he said I already was. I closed the notebook. I need more than this. I expected you'd say that. He walked to another cabinet and removed a flat document case. Inside were copies of court filings, hospital paperwork, letters. Everything had dates. Everything had signatures. Nothing looked hurried. Grandpa had preserved every piece carefully. On top sat a legal document titled, Petition for Adoption. My hands trembled slightly. The petition named Walter and his late wife, Helen Ellis, as temporary guardians. Several months later, another filing transferred guardianship to Linda Ellis, my mother, and her husband, David. The dates lined up perfectly. About 8 months before Ethan's first birthday. I looked at Michael. My parents adopted Ethan. Yes. They never told me. No. They never told him? I don't believe they did. The room felt strangely quiet. Not because of the revelation itself. Because I suddenly remembered things that had never made sense before. Family friends commenting that Ethan had Grandpa's eyes. Grandma insisting every baby picture be kept in one particular album. Grandpa celebrating Ethan's birthday with unusual care. I had always assumed it was because Ethan was the oldest grandchild. Now those memories looked different. The facts had changed. The memories hadn't. Only my understanding of them had. I thought back to the funeral, the truck, the bank, the notebook. None of it had been random. Grandpa hadn't been leaving clues about money. He had been building a path toward the truth. What happened to Rebecca Lawson? I asked. Michael's face softened. She died. When? Not long after Ethan was born. I felt a heaviness settle over me. And the father? No one ever established paternity. So Ethan needed a family. I stared at the adoption papers again. There was no fraud. No forged signatures. No conspiracy. Everything had gone through the court. Legally. Properly. Then why had Grandpa hidden it? Because someone wanted the truth buried, Michael said quietly, as if hearing my thoughts. Who? I don't know. You really don't? No. He sighed. Walter believed the answer was in the notebook. I opened it again. The February entries continued over several years. Most were only a paragraph long. Some mentioned meetings with lawyers. Others mentioned reviewing documents. Then I reached an entry from 14 years ago. Linda asked whether Ethan should finally know. The next sentence was underlined. Someone else strongly disagreed. No name. Just those words. Someone else. I turned another page. Another February. Still no agreement. Then another. Waiting one more year. The pattern repeated. Every February. The same discussion. Whether Ethan should be told. whether the truth should remain hidden. Until one entry, dated 7 years ago, broke the pattern. I no longer believe silence protects anyone. I closed the notebook slowly. Grandpa had changed his mind. That explained the safety deposit box, the key, the letters. He knew time was running out. He had been preparing for the day someone finally asked the right questions. My phone buzzed. It was Aunt Carol. Nora. Hi. I've been cleaning out the attic. You found something else? I found your grandmother's recipe box. I almost smiled. How is that connected? It isn't the recipes. What then? There were letters hidden underneath them. I stood up. Letters from who? I haven't read them. Why not? Because every envelope has the same instruction. My grip tightened on the notebook. What does it say? Carol's voice dropped to almost a whisper. They're addressed to Ethan. She paused. And every single one is still sealed. By the time I reached Aunt Carol's house, the sun was already beginning to set. The recipe box sat in the middle of her dining table. It was exactly as I remembered it. Grandma had painted tiny blue flowers around the edges decades earlier. Whenever we baked together, she would let me choose the recipe cards while she measured the flour without looking at the measuring cup. I hadn't seen the box since her funeral. Carol carefully lifted the stack of handwritten recipes. Beneath them lay 6 sealed envelopes. Each one was addressed in Grandma's handwriting. For Ethan. Nothing else. No dates. No postage. Just his name. They were hidden under a false bottom, Carol said. I only found them because one of the recipe cards slipped underneath. I looked at the envelopes. They've never been opened? Carol shook her head. I don't think anyone knew they were here. I called Ethan. Can you come to Carol's house? There was a pause. Is something wrong? I think this is something you need to see. He arrived about 40 minutes later. He looked exhausted. The past few days had aged him in ways that had nothing to do with sleep. When he saw the envelopes, he stopped in the doorway. What are those? They're addressed to you. He walked closer. His eyes moved from one envelope to the next. I've never seen them. I believe you. He looked at me, surprised by my answer. I did believe him. The evidence had changed the way I saw him. Not because he had been innocent of every mistake. Selling Grandpa's truck without asking the rest of us had been careless. Keeping quiet about the bank papers had been wrong. But neither action made him the architect of 15 years of silence. He sat down. Should I open them? They're yours. His fingers trembled slightly as he opened the first envelope. Inside was a short handwritten letter. Grandma wrote simply, Dear Ethan, if you're reading this, then the truth has finally caught up with our family. I have loved you since the day your grandfather placed you in my arms. Love does not ask where a child came from. It asks how well we care for them. Ethan stopped reading. He covered his mouth with one hand. No one interrupted him. He opened the second letter. It explained how frightened Rebecca Lawson had been during her pregnancy. The third described Rebecca's illness after Ethan was born. The fourth thanked my parents for agreeing to raise him. Each letter revealed another small piece. Nothing dramatic. Nothing sensational. Just ordinary people making impossible decisions. Then Ethan opened the sixth and final envelope. Inside was only one page. Grandma's handwriting was shakier than in the earlier letters. If Walter has given Nora the notebook, then she already knows enough. There is only one truth left. Your mother wanted you. She never abandoned you. She died before she could come home from the hospital. The room became completely silent. Ethan stared at the page. I thought. His voice broke. I always thought if there was some secret. He couldn't finish. I understood anyway. Many people fill silence with the worst explanation they can imagine. The letters removed that burden. Not every unanswered question hides rejection. Sometimes it hides grief. Carol quietly wiped away tears. I noticed the recipe cards still scattered across the table. Ordinary recipes. Apple pie, chicken soup, peach cobbler. Grandma had hidden the hardest truth in the most ordinary place in the house. That felt exactly like something she would do. My phone rang. It was Richard Hale from the bank. "I'm sorry to bother you." "That's all right. We found something during our archive review." "What kind of something?" "A visitor log." I waited. It lists everyone who entered the safety deposit area over the years. And there was one name we overlooked. Who? The witness wasn't Michael Avery. I frowned. "What do you mean?" "He accompanied your grandfather many times, but he never signed as the witness." "Then who did?" Richard answered quietly. "Your grandmother." I looked at Ethan. "What about after she passed away?" Richard hesitated. "There was only one other person." My heartbeat quickened. "Who?" He gave the name. "It wasn't my mother. It wasn't Aunt Carol. It wasn't Michael. It was my father, David Ellis." After ending the call, I sat down slowly. My father had died 5 years earlier from a sudden heart attack. He had taken this secret to his grave. Yet according to the bank records, he had stood beside Grandpa during the final visits to Box 317, which meant he knew everything. He had helped protect the truth. But one question still remained. Not who Ethan's birth mother was. Not why Grandpa created the notebook. Not why the truck had been sold. There was one final mystery. Why had Grandpa waited so long before deciding Ethan deserved to know? The answer wasn't in the bank. It wasn't in Michael's files. It wasn't in Grandma's letters. According to the final page of Grandpa's notebook, it was inside one last sealed envelope. An envelope Grandpa had instructed his attorney to release only after every other piece of evidence had been found. And the attorney had just left me a voicemail saying he was ready to deliver it.